the Mad Doctor, Adega Outlaw! Like the fires for Stone Cold Loki! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to 7 Kinds of Mischief! Yeah, I'm all fired up now, ready to burn some shit down.
He got psycho work with his axe now. He's ready to roll.
Oh, how is everybody doing? Good evening, everybody. I can barely hear you, Adega.
Let me switch it back. I did something with the settings to actually be able to hear the intro. I think that's
Oh, okay. Okay.
Can you hear me better now?
I can hear you better now.
Yeah, it's all it was. It's a simple. It switches for StreamYards. I don't know why, but I figured it out on my end.
Gotcha. Good evening, everybody. It is so good to see all of you. DJ Ronnie G, what is up, my brother? How are you doing? Chris Persia, the wrench of wrenches, is here. Good evening, Chris. Claude Saline is here. Good evening. How are you doing, brother? Psychodorp 9. How are you doing, man? It is good to see you. Hope everything's going. He says 5 by 5. Hell yeah. Everything's going 5 by 5. Some people don't know what that means. Isn't that crazy? Don't know what 5 by 5 means. Call me. I'll
Didn't
tell
watch Aliens, I guess.
you. Lady Mist, how is it going? Good evening to our guardian of the void, Lady Mist. Good evening. Brightest day. What is up, my friend? How are you doing? Ted's Nerd World is here. Good evening, Ted. Good to see you, brother. It's good to see all you guys hanging out tonight on 7 Kinds of Mischief with the Mad Doctor, Adega Outlaw. So, Adega, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well, to be honest with you. Having a good time. As much as I can. My family's all down in Florida doing a vacation thing, and the rumors about Disney being destroyed. Uh, some of you know, long before Chapek and all these guys started destroying most of it, we joined the vacation club, so we have a timeshare with them that lasts for 30 some odd years or however. And so she's down there with my son who'd been gone for a couple of years. And all the rumors about all the rides, the monorails, the service, and everything being terrible, coming from someone who's we've gone there every year. I haven't, but she's gone there every year for the past 17 years down to Disney World. She says, yeah, it's a wreck, an absolute wreck. So yeah, Disney's in the crap hole. But I'm by myself and just trying to train a puppy. If you hear it in the background, she's still a little nervous since everyone's gone, but still having a good time, regardless if the family's gone. Catching up on some things. That's how I'm doing. Long-winded story.
Heck yeah, I've been doing good. We're getting ready for our premiere
Tomorrow,
tomorrow
yes.
morning.
You need to be there, everybody. I have a little hint of what's going on. Don't miss it.
So
Be
I've got
there
a surprise. I've got a
bright and
surprise
early
for
at the
everybody.
beginning.
We're gonna go a couple minutes early. That way we can make time because I really want to get everybody's opinion. I know this show is gonna last longer than normal, but at 9:15, keep your eye open for a very special upload that's gonna hit. I don't do uploads. Everybody knows, I don't really do uploads. It's almost always live streams. So a very special upload will be hitting at 9:15 a.m. Central Standard Time. Probably right after the stream. We may be
Dude.
going, but we may still be going live, but it's gonna be killer.
Yeah,
So
do
you'll
not
get
miss it.
everybody will get a sneak preview if they are there early. You'll get to see what I was working on the past couple of days, but a couple of people have seen it now, including Dega, but he's not gonna say anything. Shh.
Nope.
Shh.
You
He's
know
not gonna
me.
he's not gonna think on me. But it's one of the best videos I've ever made. So hopefully you guys
Yes.
enjoy it. Hopefully you guys enjoy it, and it's a hit. It
Yes.
doesn't matter whether it's a hit or not. I really enjoyed making it. So
Yeah.
um,
Nope. I agree with him. It is one of his best, except for
so
the intro to this show. Other than that, yeah.
I really like making the videos. I really do. I ought to do it more. I ought to do it more. I try to avoid the copyright claims, and I'm more of like, hey, you know what? Look at all this stuff we can do with all of this. And sometimes that gets me in trouble. But that's how I started. It's how I
That's
started.
okay. It's all
Um,
right.
Psychodorf 9 says, Loki, I'm updating my painting camera until I get a handle on my digital drawing. I'm going old school drafting more soon. I can't wait. I cannot wait.
Very cool.
Lovely Sherry is here. Good evening, lovely Sherry. How are you doing? Hopefully you're doing well. Hopefully you're doing well. You know what? I've gotten. It's so fun sometimes doing the morning stuff because I've gotten this groove now where it's like, the lovely Sherry, Lady Mist, Guardian of the Void, the Lady Arwen Avalon, and I just have so much fun. I have so much fun shouting you guys out in the morning. So thank you for being there, everybody that can make the morning show, and thank you for the evening shows, guys.
Yeah.
Seriously. I know
And
I know
I,
they're not as crazy as the morning shows, but I really love getting to do the night stuff, especially with the Dega.
I appreciate it. I love this too. Otherwise, I wouldn't keep coming back. You're my brother, and I love everybody here. So that's the way it is. And one thing about Sherry, and then I'm going to get to Chris's comment. I kind of missed that nun outfit that you put on for Mexican Iron Man. I like that thumbnail that you had. I thought it was pretty funny, but I didn't get to mention it while you still had it. So
No, it was pretty groovy. That's exactly what I went all Bruce Campbell groovy. So, yeah, are you talking about that comment?
yeah, let him have a crack. Chris, I was a doc for 25 years. My job was to keep silent about everybody's stuff. You can try all you want. You can pull fingernails and stab me in the eyeballs. I don't give away secrets. So.
He doesn't. He absolutely doesn't. Project Cambrian, how are you? I did get your email. I am sorry. I have not had a chance to respond to it yet. I have read it though. So I read your email that you sent me. Thank you so very much for sending that to me. I am going to respond with the Picard stuff. I worked almost all day today on something very special for tomorrow morning,
It
and
shows.
I am going to respond. I promise. I just haven't had a chance to yet. And as soon as this stream's over, I'm go out and meet one of our friends of ours. One of our friends is here in Houston, and I'm going to be going to a cigar bar to hang out with him for a couple hours, and then I got to run back here, set up the stream for tomorrow, and try and get some sleep so I can wake up early and watch Picard with everybody before we do the stream. So, Chris Burgess says, but Adega, here's the rub. I don't torture. I grovel with the best of them. Oh,
All
my.
right. Here's a little bit more. I talked about me last week. Here's a little bit more about me. I one of these days I'll upload some images out of my old yearbook. But I was a really accomplished musician early on, and very well known. And for some reason, they slapped me as drum major over the band. When I got on the field as drum major, I had a cheering section groveling at my feet of drill team and cheerleaders. Literally, you could hear them in the audience fawning. I'm used to that. Groveling doesn't work. All right, now shut
Yeah.
up about myself again.
So what do you got? What do you got for us tonight?
I was working on a few things and I decided current events needed some addressing. But first off, one of the current events.
Hold on
Um,
1 second. Let me answer this. It's Valhalla, Lady Mist. It's Valhalla. We can torture here? Yes.
it's an
Oh, yes. Go ahead.
enjoyable thing.
Yeah. Go ahead, Adega.
Yeah, it's just the current events. And then I sent you a clip the other day. I don't know if everyone saw it, but I think most people know about it. Of what was it, the music awards, where they had that tag team uh, where they're identity confused, and they did a display of maybe you could show a picture of it of their music performance, and everyone said, "Wow, this is a satanic performance. These guys are doing rituals." Um, they made it look that way. You think of the Grammys and everything that's been going on with them year after year, their attendance and everything has been going down like crazy. No one's watching this crap. No one cares about these people. Yeah, it was this thing here. Um, this is all fake. These people, maybe they do something on the side, but this was simply to raise your ire, to get you upset. It has nothing to do with anything uh, real, and it made people talk. It did exactly what they wanted it to do. Um, so don't be drawn in by stupid stuff like this. You can tell the real ones from the fake ones. That one was just something they were doing trying to get ratings, and it was a waste of time. But the real thing I wanted to really stress, and it's, I think it's, oh, go ahead, because we also got a super chat.
Andrew 46 and 2 said I played Barry sax in the band and had a pretty big cheering section in football games.
All right. Very
Lady
cool.
Mist has a hatchet now. Everybody fucking covered. Lovely Sherry's laughing her butt off. And Psychodorp 9 says, today my ex sent me my mother's paint box that I inherited. Old magic and new magic.
Very cool. We're gonna
And
have to
thank
see
you
the
so
magic.
very much, Psychodorp 9, for that $5 super chat, brother.
Yeah, current events. There was, in any of you who are watching things that are not mainstream, you're watching things on alternate news sources. Uh, you've probably seen. I don't want to get into the archaeology stuff. I'm going to do something else. Um, it's not just in the United States, because there's a big chemical fire in Norway. There was a train in Ohio, Louisiana, Texas, Hawaii. Montreal just got one. There is also one in Detroit, and I know the railroad. It's something we used to listen to. This is not a coincidence. It's a psyop more than anything, because trains, if any of you know your World War II history, these people were able to repurpose those trains, get them up and running in a matter of days if they really wanted to. Um, this is to unbalance you and terrify you, and in some ways, you need to be prepared for things like this. Yeah, they did. And during the summer, Chris said Montreal had something a couple of years ago. During the summer, there was a bunch of them that went for fertilizer. I don't know about other countries, but in the United States, we've had several hundred now food processing plants that have gone down. We're under attack, but I did want to, and Loki knows about this stuff. If you are in an area where you have these things going by, or maybe you're near electrical or power, hydroelectric, different areas where in for some, there it is. Lovely Sherry did it. Where there could be any type of pollutions or natural disasters, whether it be caused by government or whether it be caused by evil people, or it be caused by natural occurrences such as earthquake things. We've never really talked about this, and I, for one, am what I used to do for fun when I was a kid. I don't know about you. When I was a teenager, I'd be dropped out in the middle of the desert with a pocket knife and leave a week later. Uh, I love doing that type of stuff, being prepared for anything and knowing how to utilize the sources that are available. I want you guys to start preparing if you aren't already, because I know there's several of you that are quite up on this. But there's simple things you can do that may seem too simple, but will save you a lot of grief if anything ever happens. And it's something you could build over time, or you could build overnight. Um, Things that will protect you and protect family members and make your life a lot more, uh, I shouldn't say comfortable, but less depressing in times of stress. Like if your fire if fire comes and burns your home down. I want to talk about something called, and there's going to be help in there. I know some of you know this stuff. A 72-hour kit,
Or
uh,
go bag.
or a
I
go
was
bag.
that's what I was that's what how it was explained to me when I was a kid because my dad had one just in case he ever had to grab his bag and go. Navy guy, is
Right,
go bag. So
right.
yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
No, 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 no. That's fine. Whatever the name is, however you call it. The idea with 72 hours is to
Bug out
make sure
bag
you,
too.
yeah, bug
Bug
out
out
bag.
bag.
Make
Yep.
sure you have enough for one person, and then enough, well, a go bag for every person that has enough supplies for that person for 72 hours. And when we talk about supplies, there's various different things. Survivalists will have caches. We're not going to talk about that. Um,
DJ Ronnie G, he says I have various food bars, and that's what you want. You
yes,
want like peanut butter crackers, like the that are in the little seal bags that you can get at the store. Stuff that's good to keep in the car, granola bars, food bars, stuff like that. Sometimes MRIs are a little wonky, so just enough protein. You need protein on the go.
yep,
So granola bar, peanut butter bar, Snickers bars. My dad,
yep,
he would in his flight suit, he'd have 2 or 3 Snicker bars because sometimes you got to refuel. You're up there for God knows how long, so he'd have 2 or 3 Snickers bars in his flight suit just in case.
yep, yep.
Peanuts, yeah.
The nuts are actually a light source, a long-lasting source, and it's something you can put in your bag, and you won't have to check it for a year or two if you have 2 or 3 of these things in there. But think of the average adult, they say requires 2,000 calories per day for food. That was something that was about 50, 60 years ago. We are sedentary people for the most part. And if you're in an emergency mode, don't expect to or even care to try and fill a 2,000 calorie meal. Settle for somewhere, especially smaller people, but someone like Loki with his tall frame, you can get by for a very, very long time, years, with anywhere from 12 to 1,500 calories a day.
You
So
haven't
plant,
met Fat Steven, have you?
yeah, well, he can too. He'd just, it'd be a great weight loss. There was no fat people in the in places where they made people concentrate. Um, your body will adapt, but have enough calories when you start putting these together, whether it be the cracker and peanut butter crackers or the others, to where you're going to hit that many calories a day. And what my family has done, we've gotten these bigger school backpacks for kids, and we filled them up. We have 2 changes of clothes. There's a spare pair of shoes. I have knives on me all the time. I have knives in my bag. I am a little excessive. I also have a folding military shovel in mine, a survival knife. Um, but you also need water or ways to get water. There are all kind. Water's the hardest part, believe it or not. You can think, well, bottled water, but it's heavy. Um, it's a
Yeah, and
good thing to do.
just a couple of bottles can last you a lot longer than you think.
Right.
Two 20-ounce bottles of water can last you weeks. If you ration it right, they
Yep.
can last you weeks, not days, weeks.
But there are also cheap things. They make charcoal or filter straws to where if you go up to any water source, provided you haven't had a chemical spill in it, but, you could have a dead animal or something in there. You could put that charcoal straw in there and do okay. Um, so, and then boiling water works in most cases. Uh, so just water would be the tricky thing. Have a couple bottles of water per person. Uh, the change of clothes. And here's something that everybody forgets, except I think when the mandatory involuntary stick it home because we're afraid of a little bug thing happen. That at least in the United States, I know there's a few other places around the world where toilet paper became scarce. So if you don't want to use leaves, you don't want to use a rag, or you don't want to use your hand. I got a bad story about that, and it wasn't me. Um, put a roll in. maybe if there's 2 or 3 of you in a family, one for the other person. Uh, but that's helpful as well. Uh, for the advanced people and people who can carry more, get some thin nylon rope. You never know what needs to be tied down, what needs to be drug, what you need to make into something that needs to be carried. Also, if you're in places like where I am, always keep blankets, spare jackets in your vehicle. In your go bag, you'll want what's called a space blanket or a thermal blanket. They're basically, it's a reflective material where you put the reflective side against your body, and it helps keep you warm in very cold temperatures. We're not talking sub-zero, but cold enough to where it will help. I've never went with a charcoal
DJ Ronnie G with $5 super chat says, I have filter straw that comes with a gravity bag. I'm not capable of sucking golf balls through a garden hose.
Well, here's the thing too. You can also make it to where you can have it siphon. Use the filter for a siphon and let gravity do the work for you. Um, it'll work. You just have to get a little bit out of it, and then you could fill up jugs with it.
Dean Krantz, how are you doing? Good evening, sir. He says, I have a go bag, I have a poncho liner and sleeping bag if needed.
Ponchos are awesome. You get the plastic ponchos. You can use those for all kinds of things, not just keeping water off you. They can make what's called a lean-to, where if your car breaks down and you need a little extra space or a bit of privacy outside the car, you can use those to make a wind block or something for privacy. There's all kinds of things you can do when if you're actually camping or you're away from civilization. But the ponchos, the plastic ones, nylon ones, can be collapsed down into a very small space. They're very light. And yes, that is an outstanding idea to have one of those.
Second Orc 9 says, wool insulates even when wet.
Yes.
And he says, I use 3 braided paracord and a toggle for climbing and a drag. It's not a bad idea. Dean Krantz, 1 gallon of unscented bleach can purify 16,000 gallons of water.
Yes, it can. For those I have always been a prepper, letting things hint out, and we've had these these big drums for water storage in the house, and it only takes several drops of chlorine to purify it. And you do that when you store it. That way you don't have any moss or fungus or anything grow in it while it sits. And you should recycle it every couple of years or every year. But still, if you can't get to it, those few drops of chlorine do go a very, very long ways. And your body can handle it. I've drank straight up chlorine a couple of swallows once, and it was not good, but I survived it. So a couple of drops is not going to harm anybody.
So I'm trying to pull up. Let's see. 1/4 liter, 2 drops of bleach. Just 2 drops. 1 gallon, 8 drops. 2 gallons, 16 drops, which is 1/4 of a tablespoon. 1/8 of a teaspoon. 4 gallons, 1/3 of a teaspoon. 1/4 of a teaspoon.
It does work. Now there are all kinds of ways, if you guys really want to get into it, of obtaining water. Everything from a evaporator, or there is ways of catching dew in cans. All kinds of things you can do. But at least have a couple liters of, and one thing that a lot of people forget too is you need to have destinations. If you're in a car, know where you're going, know how to get there in several different routes. More than likely things will bog down. You've seen all the movies where the traffic gets hairy on the freeways. Know how to get around it even without that.
If you've never been in something like that, I was in the evacuation of Houston with, what was it, Ike or Irene, whatever it was. It was 25 hours to get from Houston to Dallas. That's like a 3.5 hour trip. And it took over a day. It was taking people over a day to get there. Not if you know all the back roads. If you know all the back road, where all the back roads are, and you know gas stations that are off the beaten path, that aren't off the main highway, that's where you want to go. Because guess what? They're going to have gas. Nobody's going to be there. And that's exactly what I did when we were leaving Houston. I knew where all the out of the way stuff was, and I knew what back roads to take. So when I'd pull up, they didn't even know anything was going on. Really? There's something going on down in Houston? Oh, yeah, we got a hurricane coming. We ain't seen nobody. That's because y'all are up on the beaten path out in the middle of a cornfield in the middle of BFE. Know your BFEs, ladies and gentlemen. Know your roads out of town that aren't
Right.
main highways.
Right. And also know your people too. Recognize when there's people who um, are up to no good and people who are genuine. You may be off the beaten path, but just be cautious in times of emergency. For the most part, every time you've seen something, this is funny. I think I mentioned it to you before. Several years ago, gosh, it's been almost 20 years now. There was a massive power outage across the Northeast. It started in Canada, went through several of the northeastern states, and we had it in Michigan. And Detroit, everyone knows how Detroit is, the burnt out bombshell with all the crime. And then some people know where the MSU, Michigan State University, is in Ann Arbor, or not state. Sorry, U of M, University of Michigan, is in Ann Arbor. And I worked there, and I lived in between Detroit and Ann Arbor. And this power went out, so no one was doing anything. When we started getting news through various different sources, come to find out, with all the gas stations down in Detroit, the people broke open their freezers and started having street parties, big barbecues, everyone getting together. There was absolutely no crime in one of the places where you'd think would be the most crime. In Ann
Yep.
Arbor, where all these educated or supposed educated stuffy nosed people, I really didn't like a lot of them, and I had to take care of them every day. And their arrogance and attitudes was so bad, they were shooting each other for a gallon of gas. In contrast to where they were partying together in Detroit. So just know that people react totally different than you would expect when under stress. Just be wise, watch out for yourself, watch out for your loved ones, um, know where to go, and have those the things that can take care of you for about 72 hours. Usually 72 hours is a good standard to make sure that you're prepared for. Um, we see Dean Krantz, a few others that are sitting here talking about all kinds of other things, chains, or I was thinking of a cable saw, little rings that you pull to saw things, axes and other stuff. If you get way into the weeds and things are really bad, yeah, those are things to have. If you're just trying to get from a bad point in civilization to another one, just make sure that you're able to do it. Some people will have cash on hand. Some people will have coins. Coins are heavier, but they don't get damaged. Things like waterproofed matches, you can do that yourself, where you get the stick matches and cover them lightly in wax, and they won't be damaged by water. Um, Odd little things. But start off. The very first thing I want you to do, even if you have to get a spare pillowcase and start putting it in that, because you can grab a pillowcase just as easy as you can anything else. You may not be able to put it on your back, but you can grab and go. Is put in spare pair of clothes, a little thing of water, and a few candy bars or crackers or granola bars or whatever you have on hand. It's
High
just a
protein.
start.
High
Yep.
protein stuff is what you want. So,
It's
uh, yeah, Snickers bars, peanut butter and
yep.
crackers. You can get the little country fair, whatever, peanut butter and crackers that come in the 6-pack.
Yep.
There's all kinds of little things you can do, and like we said, Snickers bars, and sometimes those minutes are the difference between we've been sitting here for 36 hours or we beat everyone out of town and we're where we want to be and we're not having a fight for gas. We're not having a fight for a place to stay. We're not having a fight. Being able to have that bag and just grab it and go.
Yep.
That can mean the difference between everything.
A rule we have in my family too is every gas tank is full. If it isn't, we never let it go below half a tank of gas, ever. Doesn't matter where we're going, what trip we're doing, it never gets below half a tank of gas. We always try and keep them full because you never know.
No, and that's yeah. I used to do that all the time. I used to almost run my tank dry constantly, but that was when I barely had enough money to put gas in the tank. So, medicine pill case. Okay, so here's the deal. Here's the deal with that. Anybody out there like me that takes medication, I have this block, this plastic block that has all the days of the week. Okay, so I have two of those. I've got morning and night, and I've got two different ones. So each of these little plastic pill totes has Monday through Friday or Monday through Sunday and morning and evening. One of those stays full all the time. So I can just grab it and leave. The other one I take out of every day. That way I make sure I don't take too much. Because God, sometimes I'm like, oh my God, did I take my night pill? I don't know. Always have a thing of medication ready to go. Thank you, Psychodorp 9.
Yep.
June Wong with $5 super chat. Thank you so very much, June Wong. And he says, I recently watched Swiss Family Robinson. I want to know what they did to get their treehouse and forge going so quick. Pro survival skills. It was a movie.
Forges don't take much to get them working. Tree houses, it takes a lot longer.
Mm-hmm.
And Dean Krantz is right. You've been talking about protein, but sugar actually is a really big one too. Sugar
Oh yeah,
actually
Gatorade
is.
powder.
Yep.
Yeah, if you've got okay, so I've got a whole box of that. It's just powder. They're individually packaged. I think they're for 20-ounce water bottles. You just pour that in your water bottle, you shake it up, and you go. It's that simple. So I got a whole box of those sitting here that I've had for like 2 years as a just in case.
Right.
And some people might be like, dang, you crazy. You bought that as a just in case? Well, yeah. I didn't, for one thing, I didn't know if at the time if I was going to be living in my car or not. So I got it. I had the money to get it, and I got it as a, well, shit, it's worse to worse, and I just got to go. Then I've got something. Michelle Rourke Johansson, good evening. Says I take meds for allergies and for my migraines. Yeah, just if you want to have like a little, usually you can get some stuff down at a gas station. You can get a little bottle of Excedrin or whatever, little bottle of the Equate, whatever it is. You can get small little bottles that'll last you a couple of days. Just have that in your go bag. Those weigh nothing, so it won't.
Yep.
It's not going to take up any room, and they're good for what, like a year and a half, 2 years. So, and you should check your go bag every year.
Yeah. And one thing too is don't get overwhelmed by all the different suggestions. Just start off and build from there. Because here's something that I do. Psychodorf says dryer lint is great tinder. Yeah, it is. On my keychain, I have a little. It's like a alloy flask. It's no bigger than 2 inches long. About half is the diameter of my little finger. Inside it has pre-stressed cotton. It's ready to ignite, and on the end of it is a flint. I can start a fire anywhere I want. Those are things for more advanced stuff. Only worry about that if you got everything else covered. The biggest thing, if every one of you has the opportunity before the weekend's over, is have something in a bag that has a change of clothes, has extra calories, and water. After that, start building. Then you can eventually get to Dave Bob status where you have a whole arsenal where if he wanted to arm the whole neighborhood, he'd be good to go. He's got the Minutemen set. So,
And if you
no,
don't have a knife with a compass, get a compass, throw a little compass in there. It doesn't hurt anything. Yes, you can make your own. Most people don't know how to do that. You need some water, you need a leaf, you need a needle. But if you've got a compass, you're not going to be out in the woods pulling a Blair Witch Project going, I don't know where everybody is. I don't know where they went. I'm going north. I'm going north. I'll tell you, I'm going north. Just start going north.
Yeah.
Why?
If
Because
you
you
ever
have a
wanted to get
compass.
into
You can tell which way that is.
If you ever wanted to get in real advanced training, I could show you the native way to navigate. It's an old art that most of them don't know anyway. You don't need anything. You don't even need to look at the stars, and you could always find your way. It's a long story. I could tell you about that sometime. I lived a very weird life.
I think a lot of us. I think a lot of us did. Michelle O'Rourke Johansson says, Loki, you'd be proud. I remember before my family immigrated to America, when my father was still alive, he taught me how to handle knives so that I would have a defense against grabby men. I now carry a dagger sheathed on the side of my heel boots in case of idiots. I would
Good.
always suggest, and that is good, but I would always suggest for a young lady, have a small, decent enough pistol in your purse. Always. They could be as big as a Walter, just something that you're comfortable with, just in case.
Yeah, see,
So
I'm always one who says a woman should have it on her body and not the purse, because the purse can be grabbed, and then the criminal now
it's true.
has the
It's
gun.
true.
I like it where they're in advanced, like I said, I just wanted in case of emergencies, but
Yeah,
that's
PPK
what I wanted to
too.
talk about. Um, but there are all kinds of small, easy to conceal, effective weapons, firearms that would save you in a lot of trouble, or keep you out of a lot of trouble. Just the fact that so my wife and her friend, they were out shopping the other day, and my wife was being followed by a guy. And little do they know, she carries with her. It's not necessarily brass knuckles, but it has spikes on it, and pepper. She hasn't got her CPL for the state yet, um, but her friend noticed. She was off another corner, and she says, "Hey, guess what? I just got my CPL license. You should see what I'm carrying." And that was enough to scare the guy off. She was aware. My wife was aware because she had her hand uh, ready to go with that weapon. Just always be. This isn't a self-defense class. I really wanted to talk about, um, just simple thing this weekend. Again, start your grow bag, your 72-hour kit. Get it started. There's just too much stuff going on in the world right now where you should be prepared for that overnight emergency where you got to get out of town because power went out or there was an oil spill. You never know.
Toxic
You never know.
chemicals.
Yep. Yeah, no, I was a kid in my friend's neighborhood. We weren't able to let him go home for quite a few hours. They said there was a chlorine cloud that went over from the Marine base, Seal Beach, and it covered his neighborhood. And we waited it out in the evening. So we're walking back. We were kids. We walked everywhere. So it was a couple miles. We walked in there and there was birds on the ground everywhere. It wiped out the entire bird population. But these things happen over and over again. It could have a volcano. Recently people have had all kinds of issues with natural disasters. It's just good to be ready. And
So I grew up in Houston. A lot of people know that. I grew up in Houston. My school was not too far from the Phillips chemical plant. If anybody remembers that, the Phillips chemical plant in Houston exploded. This would have been late 80s, blew out every window in our school gym, blew out some of the windows in the school. I don't think we got out of there till 7 p.m. My parents were not allowed. The parents were not allowed to come pick us up. We were shelter in place, and that was till 7 p.m. They had us in that school, no AC going, no air conditioner. no nothing. And we had to wait for our parents to pick us up because of the explosion. It was bad. It was bad.
Mm,
And I was just down the street from that when it happened. So I'm used to this stuff. But also there are health concerns, especially if you live in an area like that. If you live in Pasadena, if you live right by the ship channel, if you live where all the chemical plants are, like I did when I was a kid, you are constantly dealing with nose issues, with being sick. There's all kinds of stuff that you don't notice until you leave. And that's when you're like, wow, I'm like when I moved to North Texas, it was a totally different experience. I'm more north now than I was then because it was like, really, really bad part of town compared to better part of town that I'm at now. But there's a huge difference between being here and then going into Pasadena where all the chemical plants are and hanging out there for a day and being like, man, why is my nose so stuffed up? Why am I? And you get a chemical plant disaster, something happens. Um, yeah, I'm one county over from Dow Chemical, Dean Krantz.
right.
I was 30 minutes from the BP plant that exploded in Texas City. I was 30 minutes away from that where I lived in when I lived here before I moved to North Texas. So this was a constant. This was a constant. And like I mentioned before, leaving during the hurricane, I think it was Irene, that was insanity. And if I hadn't have known back roads, if I hadn't have gotten out of there quick, if I hadn't have done what I done, I would have spent 26 to 30 hours on the road just getting to Dallas, which was a 3-hour drive, 3.5-hour drive. All the difference a couple minutes make if you can just grab a bag and go. I've got
Right.
water. I've got some food. I don't have to stop. I've got a full tank of gas. You're ready to go. And especially if people are actively trying to get out at the same time as you are, stopping for gas can be dangerous. Stopping to get something to eat can be dangerous. Stopping your car at all can be dangerous. You just want to go. You want to grab your bag and go, okay, I'm going to get here and I'll be fine. And that's what you do. You go right there.
Yep. Yep. And Dean Krantz brought up, I would put that this is the order for me. For the average person, it's different. For me, the first thing I have, and it's always on me, is my knife. Then it would be food, water, clothes. For the average person, it would be the food, water, clothes, um, and then the med kit. He's right. And with a first aid kit, it doesn't need to be anything extravagant. If you have a knife with you, you don't need the scissors or a lot of other things. You can use those. There are really cool things like they have these new fake. Uh, they're not sutures, but it's like butterfly band-aids, where in case you get a deep enough cut, you stick it on there and it holds things together like you actually put sutures on it. I can't remember the name of them. Um, Crazy glue works. Some people worry about the toxins. I think if you got a big enough wound like that, I can care less about the scar. I want to put things together. Um, a disinfectant and some type of wrap that you can use, whether it be an ace bandage or some type of bandage. It doesn't have to be extensive, but a disinfectant and something to hold cuts together is the big thing. Then you can build from there. Um, some of them get quite extensive. The one I have, it's pretty impressive. But again, it's just stuff to get you through until you're into a safer place. You know? So don't
Absolutely.
come to my
Thank
house.
you. This has been, yeah, don't come to my house. Don't come and see me. No, no. It's been a really interesting conversation tonight, and I think it's really helpful. I'm really glad we did this. I didn't know exactly where you were going to go with this at first, but I'm really glad. I'm really glad we talked about this, and
No,
if it's
I
helped
want people to
anybody
be
out
able to
there,
take care of themselves. I don't want to hear tragedies in people in our group. Where a hurricane came through and they were stuck on a rooftop and couldn't find anything to eat or drink, and they ended up miserable or bleeding to death or what have you. I want people to be able to be prepared for life's events, whether they're man-made or nature-made. Uh, we have a good group here, and if you need any advice, you could see the people who know. Just somehow contact us. We can do another one, more organized one, if you guys want, where we can get into specifics. Maybe once a month or something, we could do survival stuff for natural disasters or preparedness around the home or those type of things. That's if you're interested. Let Loki know. We'll get around it. But these
And don't let
train
people go ahead.
no, these train wrecks and everything else, it's had me concerned for you guys. I don't worry about myself. I don't worry about my family. Like I said, you give me a pocket knife, I can go anywhere, literally anywhere, and be fine. Um, that's not everybody. There are people who've never had that experience. They work up 9 to 5, go to work, go home, go to the grocery store. Uh, let's be a little bit more prepared for that, because things are in upheaval right now. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
All I was going to say was, and don't let anybody ever mess with you about being a prepper. Why? Because preppers are prepared. They're prepared just in case shit happens. And it's the old adage of, well, why do you have to have a pistol? Because I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. It's that simple. I'd rather have a go bag ready to go, a bug out bag, whatever you want to call it, 3-day bag, whatever, than not have one and be screwed. What
Yep.
was it? What was it that one guy said? There was a survivalist who got lost in the woods for so many days. They made a movie about it. And he talks about shame. That most people who end up lost and alone out in the wilderness just let themselves go. They die of shame because they don't know what to do. They don't know how to hunt. They don't know how to fish. They can't find food. They can't take care of themselves. So they just sit there and they die of shame. That's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, right here, Dave Bob. I'm not a prepper. I'm a realist. Just a country boy. Just a good old boy.
And that's the funny thing too, is everyone used to give all these conspiracy theorists a hard time. They give preppers a hard time. Well, guess what? All the conspiracy theories are coming true. I think you might want to reconsider any thoughts about being prepper, just because some people know what they're talking about.
That's right. Right there. They die of shame. Yes. Psycho Dork 9 knows the guy I'm talking about. I can't think of his name right now, but I remember they made a movie about him. Guys, we're out of here. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me and Adega tonight. We will have more. We're going to have more stuff next week for you guys, and we're going to definitely do this again. Go a little bit more into detail. But Adega had a wonderful idea. This was an absolute blast tonight. Thank you, brother.
That's not a problem. I worry about you guys. I want you to be healthy and happy.
Time for cigars. Have a good night, all. Heck yeah, Dean. Heck yeah, Dean.
You know what? I have a feeling if Dean was my next door neighbor, we'd be best buds.
Just say when. That's right. Say when. Because we've got Adega here, and Adega is Valhalla's Doc Holiday. So say when.
Yeah, you show that video of Doc Holliday when he had my name across the screen. That was the
That's
first
right.
year.
That was the first year. I can't. There's that video would be a quarter of the show.
Oh yeah. Yes, it would.
But thank you guys. I can't wait to see. Hopefully, I see more of you tomorrow morning. It's going to be a crazy show. Got a big surprise planned for you in the very beginning. A little something that hopefully will put a smile on your face. Whether you want to see Pucard or you don't want to see Pucard, hopefully it'll put a smile on your face and you'll have a good time. Till we see you again next week, take care. Be excellent to each other. Always speak friend to enter. Me and Adega will see you on the next 7 Kinds of Mischief. Take care, everybody.
See ya.
These videos are tremendous. Like, comment, and subscribe, and hammer that notification bell.